I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first item on the agenda would be the approval of minutes for September 17th, and I would entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion second to approve the minutes for September 17th as presented. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Minutes approved. Next thing I put on the agenda was review CDT applications. I had invited Lebanon Rural here this morning. They indicated they would be here at 8:30. So I will just put that over to the side and see if they come in or not. So we'll hold that. Next item, I just wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity to review the Agriconomy schedule, agenda for this coming week, next week, and just make sure everybody's aware of that. And Darrell, you'd mentioned maybe, were you gonna be on that Friday?
I'll be gone Friday.
I'll be gone Friday, okay.
Yeah. Be here for the Wednesday.
Okay. And I really don't have any other updates on that. I just wanted to put that on there as a reminder in case there were any questions that you had. If we needed to reach out to Dr. Brown regarding that agenda.
I don't believe so.
Okay, everybody okay?
Yeah.
All right. Next item, the 911 call center update. Tomorrow, we have the walkthrough with looking at the punch list that was created by Paragon. So at 9 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken, we have Paragon and the whip here. I had received an email from Alex at Paragon, and this was the punch list that they had created and with images, and I would just hand that down and let you scan that, and in preparation for tomorrow, if there's anything specific that's jumped out that we need to address that maybe even not on that. It needs coffee, yeah, probably needs coffee to stay away. Some things I would like to ask about tomorrow, and I'm sure you might have questions as well, but one of the things that I've asked for, and I haven't seen yet, but we'll probably get it, would be contact numbers from the subcontractors for warranty questions or operating instructions that we might need. So I have that on my list. Also, the update on the handrails coming up the existing steps, the status on that. And I think there were some credits, and if you can remember these, help me out, and I may have to call Gene, but there was some credits that they had alluded to, something very early on in the project, and just in the back of my mind, it keeps haunting me that those were some credits where they had anticipated the amount, and I don't know whether it was site work or dirt work or whatever it was, but it was very early in the process. And they were gonna review those and offer back a credit, unless I've made that up. So if you help me out on that, if you think of what that is. And then, of course, we need to get the occupancy permit from the city, and I assume that the architect and or the contractor will get that for us. Morning, Kristy.
We've got those,
Do we have the occupancy permit?
we've got the, I don't really see these here, but we've got those meeting agendas, so we can go up and look
Okay.
at credits or something.
Okay, yeah, I just can't remember what it was, but it was very early on, it's something that they allowed something like 17,000 for, and they didn't use all that, and they were gonna give us a credit back towards something. And then along with that, we had received a change order request for some of the items that had been discussed. It's not been executed by DeWitt, so we'll want to look at this with districting. But these were the change orders that we had discussed throughout the course of the project over the last few months. This change order is for $55,330.88, but when you review that, that's what the change order from DeWitt, but we know that Paragon was sharing the cost of the steps out front, so that's not a true cost there. It would be probably somewhere in the neighborhood of half of that. And then the discussion was, how would Paragon either reimburse DeWitt, or how would they reimburse the county if we paid DeWitt? And that all has to do with the technicalities and the guidelines of the ARPA funding. And that was to be determined. I do not have an update on that. I think it's remarkable and a good indicator that the project was bid out at about 4.6 million, 4.7, and we had probably less than a 1% change order on it. I think that's fantastic. Documents in here, and this is where we'll start in the morning, so I'm just gonna leave that one and that one. David, you can leave it here and we'll. Good. Kristy, we have a football game tonight, don't we?
Yes, we do, finally. I got my
You got yours on?
deliberations.
Okay, all right,
I'm ready.
okay. What position does Lane play? not sure yet.
I think on offense, he's gonna do wide receiver, and then he's on the D line also.
Okay,
But I
good.
think he's just in the B game, I don't think he made the A team.
Well, but that really, I don't know how many eighth graders we had go out,
Yeah, I don't
so
know.
it's very conceivable he'll get some time in that game, I
Yeah,
bet.
I have a feeling he will.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
And we'll just leave those there, and we'll start with those documents when we meet with those guys in the morning. Kristy, I'll go ahead and, see if you have something for the commission, and that way you don't have to sit through
Yeah.
lots of other stuff.
At my recent treasurer's training, we had somebody from the Department of Revenue come, and then we also had an email going around. So the marijuana sales tax that we collect,
Uh-huh,
we have that as an actual, line item in our budget as marijuana sales tax. We cannot actually do that, so I didn't know if you guys had changed that yet.
We haven't amended the budget, no.
They will have to be changed.
We will.
I think,
We're not reporting singly anymore. As far as any public notice, we're not reporting singly anymore.
But we can't report it singly in the budget either.
Agreed, we're not going to,
Okay.
because the budget's not out for anybody to see, so
Yeah.
we've not done that.
Well, nobody came to me with it, so that's why I was bringing it to the commission.
Yeah, no, we had, under the trainings that I was just at, they did the same thing, and we haven't reported it anywhere, so there's no, I guess, held harmless, there's nobody that has a single report, so we just weren't going to then.
Okay, but when I receipt it in the budget, when I receipt it in,
Yeah.
that's putting it in as a singly thing,
At the end
so.
of the year, we're just gonna combine them. Was the thought, just do a journal entry and combine them.
Okay, but I don't feel like I can be, like, still putting it, because when we're receiving it in from the state as a singly thing, so I don't even know if we should, like,
So here's what I get into, because I have to figure tax levies off of that. That's how come I was holding them, where I can have totals separately, but then at the end combine. We can talk about that, and figure out what's the best way then.
Okay.
We can do that.
Okay.
That was my thought, but what you heard may be another side to, that doesn't sound as well, so.
I don't know, I just know that when I receipt it in, I'm receiving it in, in my
Right.
receipt book as marijuana sales tax, because it's coming in
Right.
separately into my bank, it's not coming in combined with sales tax.
Correct.
So that's how I don't know, I guess I just, like
What are
the
they- what
other
are they
tax,
What are they recommending you do, or how do you?
they didn't really, a lady in front of me said they just changed theirs to other tax, and so when she receipts it in, she just writes other tax. So I just need to know, but I'm not gonna start calling it other tax if we haven't changed it in our system, because our system still says marijuana tax. So everything is going to have to be changed within Summit, the way that I receipt it, because we're singling them out, and you can't single out sales tax, people that pay sales tax,
So here-
businesses.
Here's what they told us, in that same idea, is if you have less than 5,
It's
then-
actually 6.
was it 6? They told us less than 5, but 6, I have no problem with that. that you can't report it. If you have more than that, then you can. So it's a county by county basis, depending on how many dispensary sales points that you have within your county. So that's what drives whether you can do it publicly or whether you can't. So it's county by county. So, yeah.
It would be my assumption that since this is the first year that, that's been collected, like so many other things, then the guidelines are published after the receipts have started to come into the county treasury. So I guess I would have anticipated that we would have to modify it at some point. And I think as that information now has been shared and provided and those recommendations put in place, you know, it seems like there is a path forward that both of you can get together and get that nailed down. But up until this point, I think it was like,
They hadn't thought of it.
yeah,
I think that was the idea, they just hadn't thought of it.
yeah.
But whether I track them separately on my own, I mean, I'm gonna have to, but whether we do that through the GL or whether I have to do it on a separate worksheet, we can get it done.
Anything else, Kristy, or no? Okay, then I'll go back to the 911 call center update. Really, the move-in date, I've visited with the sheriff on a couple of times, and I really haven't got a firm date that we would move into that facility. I believe Kamiko is down there working on the transitioning the communications equipment, and it's my understanding they brought in a couple of additional staff to get that done, and likely might have that done this week. So it's very conceivable the dispatchers will be working out of the new call center, even though it's not open yet to the public, as far as the sheriff's entrance being removed from the temporary entrance out back to the main entrance. So everything else in there, furniture has been moved into a couple upstairs offices. I think we've probably seen that last week when we did the walkthrough. And that's pretty much it, where we're at on that. So, any questions on 911 call center?
Is there any temporary or otherwise signage if we do decide to open, start using, or when we do open, start to use that?
I would think that we could just rely on our in-house capabilities to generate a couple of temporary signs like we did for the rear entrance until we have a more permanent signage in place. And I think people will recognize that it's open. You know, if we put something out there at the front end of the sidewalk, if you will, and they don't see a chain and lock down there, and they see lights on. So I think it'd be a natural transition.
Should consider in the meantime, no?
Yeah. And so we could generate those in-house probably. Now open. Okay. Maintenance update, we should have our new maintenance staff of 1 on board next Monday. This week we've had work done on an HVAC unit. It was repaired Monday. It's working well. We had an elevator issue that was repaired in a timely fashion, the vendor that we have the agreement with. can't think of any other repair issues. The annex, I will meet with the individual that's finishing the cabinet work over there to select the countertops and the sink, and then I think that project will essentially be over for us, other than replacing a few ceiling tiles. And you, looks like they're, moving in, slowly, but we really don't have, the timeline that we need them to be out of where they're at, so. I think that transition's going well. Any questions on that?
Oh, maintenance, what, do we have a parking lot seal date?
We do not. We did issue the purchase order, and they would like to get that done, obviously, as quickly as possible as the seasons change. But they didn't give us a firm date, Darrell.
The longer we wait, the longer it takes to dry.
This may not be a good week.
Sure.
Okay,
Good weeds
Weeds?
out of the parking lot. Those happen.
all right, I'll move on to general county business. Joe, Erik, while David and Darrell looking at that, and you'll receive this, in plenty of notice, you'll get plenty of notice, but our mandatory training is February 26th and 28th at the Margaritaville Lake Resort. So if you have a calendar, you wanna put that on, but that's February 26th and 28th.
Thank you, sir.
You betcha.
So, I'd like to put a thought in your ears so you guys can always think about this. On Kentucky, we've got a box culvert that's failing, and it didn't help any. We had somebody hit the guardrails on that and tore those off one day last week. It's a large culvert, box culvert, and Mike has got a bid on an aluminum box culvert to stick in there, and the amount of time is we can get that in about a week and a half, and probably complete it in there within 2 weeks, versus us doing the concrete rebar. We'd have to rent all the forms. We don't have anything like that we can form. There'd be some lumber costs. Roughly, looking probably around 25,000. If we did it, it's about 65,000 to do the aluminum box culvert route and get it in here. They'll actually put it in place for us for another 12,000, but I didn't want to push it that far. The key thing on this one is that's a pretty heavily traveled road, and there's a lot of trucks and trailers that pull. It's an agriculture road, and so whatever length it's down is going to be a real hassle for a lot of folks that use it. So we're looking roughly 65,000 and roughly 25, and it could not sure what the form rentals and that kind of stuff's going to be, but and the entire amount of the concrete. Mike just kind of roughly coming off of his top of his head on what it might require. It's a larger than normal box culvert, and so that could be something that we need to consider. And I've got pictures of it. It needs to have.
Did we install one of those somewhere else?
We did aluminum box out there on
Jewel, wasn't it? Jewel, yeah.
It was
How does
a
this
couple,
one
2 or
compare?
3 sections. This would be one big box.
Just
box.
one,
Yeah.
one piece.
Yeah, this is, he sent me pictures of it all.
So what was the order of the accident? box culvert was deteriorating?
It was already, I think it was, this didn't help it any when it got that, but.
Have we filed for that against insurance?
I don't know what's been done with that. I think it was, I don't know who did what. I don't think anybody knew who hit it. It was just. It's been.
So what's the damage to the box culvert?
At the top, it's on the deck area, but, you know, he didn't have any pictures on it. This is all stuff that I think obviously needed some attention. Mike got out there to look at it, he went ahead and re-examined that, and it's washing out underneath it. It's, got some cracks, rebar showing in it, and it just is, it's probably way
Was
past
this,
its
I'm just curious, Darrell, I could go back through the scope of work that we scheduled for the year. Was this one that we had scheduled earlier in the year?
No.
Okay. We will have the, you might get with Mike and see if there is a report that we need to research, and then the, just the damage there on top, whatever that looked like. And is there any issue with the weight limit on it?
I don't know. I would imagine after looking at it underneath, we probably would, it probably needs a weight limit.
I feel like it needs one.
I think probably.
You wanna reach out to Mike today and,
That would
assess
probably
that?
nice.
And then, next Tuesday, we will have Mike in for the, for a road and bridge update. So whatever additional information he can get, but if we need that weight limit sign on it, we probably need to get that out there soon.
So was that 90 overall, is that what you were saying, Jerry?
No, it's around 65,000, maybe he just kind of,
What was the other 25?
that was, 25 to, so would be not buying the bulk culvert, us going out, getting the concrete, our guys out there for that time frame of the labor on it.
Yeah, it'd take us forever to do that one.
Yeah, and he can get the box culvert and get it in and set and be out of there probably. Theirs is a week and a half, and then we would finish it up in the next few days after that to get it in place and rebuild the road to it, so.
You buy all reality, it lasts longer too. So
What's that?
it would last longer as
Yep.
well.
Yeah,
By
absolutely.
far.
So it's a little more expensive, but, you know, have that, you see what it takes to have your guys at this time of year when you're trying to get it done. Your labor and time out there is gonna be a lot. And I know that they're still in their process of working things that they had budgeted for the year to work on. I think there's another box someplace that they're working, they need to still do.
Is that Swallow?
So,
They already started swallowing.
Did they?
I think so. I think, just visiting with him last week, I thought they still had one. Maybe it's
I think that was the one. but
Maybe it's a
I think
slab.
they did start it.
Okay.
I'll get that, and then I'll have
Yeah.
him put weight limit sign.
And if we can, Mike give us an update on, if he can update us in any further detail on that next Tuesday. And also if there's any, I guess to Linda's question, any insurance claims that might have to be researched.
I think he had already reached out to maybe sheriff's office or something like that. I don't know if there's anything that was ever, nothing done on it.
Okay. All right, still in general county business.
A pretty normal week for my side. Try and catch up and continue forward.
I don't remember remember the discussion from last week. I know we talked about Jeremy coming in with the signing on those, to go out for bid on those 2 bridges, or?
They will be here to open, oh my gosh, in what, 2 weeks now? So probably another, or is it just?
I couldn't remember what it was.
Time blasting there, but.
I believe it's October 15th,
Yeah.
bid opening at 10 a.m. It was in the Lebanon Laclede record, the legal notice.
We did get a bid for, stripping, waxing, buffing the floors, and so, we're getting a timeline when he can get in and do that. I'll be trying to figure out one, and just so I'm clear on the carpeting part, are we just talking about the public portion up at the top of the stairs, that whole, and not all the way back where it says stop at one end? We're just doing all of that one area there for the public. Is that where the carpet cleaning was supposed to be taking place?
Darrell, it was my understanding that Gene had intended to do all of that, and then since then, I know that at least one office holder has approached me about the carpets being cleaned in their
Down here?
office. Yeah.
Okay.
So, what we might do is just, if you're able to locate somebody to do that, you know, ask them for components.
Okay. So like, all the offices and then, or
I don't know
upstairs and
that,
then additional offices as needed?
yeah, I mean, I don't know, like this room's holding up well. This carpet's been down, what, probably 6 years now? I think it was here before I came, and it looks like it's holding up well. There wouldn't be any reason to do my office, right? And so I don't know that it'd be every office, but there's some that has more foot traffic than others. And it may not even be all of the office, you know? So what we might do is, kind of do a survey of office holders. And,
Would
but
that-
most of the office holders, you know, they really don't have public in there.
What about the, and I'm just asking, what are the courtrooms?
Probably hasn't been done for a while.
Okay, that might get kind of pricey. Don't know.
We had our windows done this week. I think everybody noticed that, and I think they turned out well. I did have a call from a company yesterday that was interested and had questions about the ceiling, the exterior ceiling of the building. Don't know if they'll submit a proposal or not, but that's the only inquiry I've had on that. The Second Street entrance doors, we did move forward on that. We had a local vendor come over and look at that, and attempted to make some repairs, but any repairs that would be done did not indicate that it would be reliable. So after a conversation with the vendor on the doors and the local vendor that would repair those and to do the electronic part of that, it was determined that we should go ahead and replace those doors. So we talked about that, and Mike has issued a purchase order to do that, and we're probably 12 weeks out on those. And we need to, well, yeah, maybe, yeah. Or spring.
Well, that's true.
there had been discussion whether or not some of the, existing electronics would be available, that latch. The door company indicated they would not be able to get those, and the other vendor could never, offer a definitive answer whether they could or not. So the repair was attempted, and it didn't hold. Mike's requesting that we initial that, please. Give to you, okay. All right, the other thing I have for general county business is the, ARPA remaining balance, and I have two different numbers. I'm gonna ask Linda for some help in reconciling those, and Linda, don't think I'm questioning you, I just wanna make sure I see the same numbers. So Linda's provided me a report that would indicate that we have how many dollars left? $564,534. And then I have another report that I've relied on, and I show that as $728,490. It's coming from two different sources. Irregardless of that, whether it's the 564 or the 728, we are paying the parking lot ceiling out of that. That's roughly $30,000. The signage we've committed to paying out of that, and if we do all the signage that had been proposed, even though we don't have an exact number, that is probably in the neighborhood of $30,000. Linda's included the audit that we can pay out of that, and I believe that was $25,000. This ceiling project, if we accept any if we get any proposals and accept those, you know, we could maybe guesstimate what that could be. We know what the last one was, and I can't imagine this one coming in anywhere close to that, and I hesitate to put any number in there whatsoever. I will contact the roofing company to see when they're gonna come down and give us an evaluation on the roof. So,
25, 30, and what? 20?
25, 30, and 30. Yeah.
So 85.
Yeah. And then we probably have, these doors may come out of that too. I'm not sure whether that was gonna come out of maintenance and repair or not. I'm not sure how much we got left there. So we either have approximately 450,000 loose numbers remaining, or we have,
This is what you have.
that's,
You won't write
Linda
any more
says
than
that's what I have, okay. All right.
You won't be ready more than that.
Okay.
Not unless there's some.
Are those
amounts
the
that have
encumbered
been-
amounts that we will owe the WIT,
The
the
only thing that's
retainage?
encumbered right here is this, but that's already out of
Okay,
it.
so do we have the retainage encumbered with the WIT? Cause that's 200 and some thousand.
I have to ask Mike.
Cause if that comes out of that, then we only have about half of that.
She would, I don't know.
Okay,
I would say no, because is that their final payment?
no, we haven't paid any of the retainage yet. I believe it's in excess of 200,000.
Then no, it's not been encumbered.
Okay.
I thought we released part of that.
No, there was discussion, David, if I recall, that we would release part of that. The WIT had requested 2.5% of the 5%, but after Alex reviewed the elevator, I think his recommendation was not to release any of that. stay tuned. We either have 500,000, or we have 250,000, or I like my number better, we have
Sure.
600,000.
You've got 467
Well,
less.
would that would be
taking
both of
this out.
those ARPA funds combined?
Well, we only have about $1,700 left in the LATC
Okay.
fund.
All right.
And it's, so I mean, it's pretty well, it's wiped out.
Yeah.
All right, any other general county business? Have we received any information from the insurance agents yet? No, okay, so we'll stay tuned on that.
So, speaking of that, on health, with Mercy and Anthem collision, that change a lot of stuff for us, that we would have to probably necessarily go out for bid.
If it actually
If
does
it
come about.
If it comes about, like they intend to, but there's always this.
Do they have a date when they go to the table and walk away?
So the agent said that if it were something as a considerable threat, that Anthem would be making it known. And they haven't seen that yet. So they're still of the mind that they're probably going to get it worked out. That's all we know right now.
Okay, public comments, items listed on the agenda.
The only thing that I have, you could elaborate, who's finishing up the cabinets and stuff over at the annex? You said you had a gentleman that's finishing those,
Yeah, gentleman's name's Mike Horton.
Horton? Yes.
We received two quotes on that project, and one quote was $1,200 and his quote was $600.
Good.
And on those types of things, the general county best practice is we make 3 calls on anything to like that, and if you don't get a response, you can count that as one, and then you look at the other 2, then you make a decision based on that. And if it's over $12,000, it has to be put out for bid. So,
Do you have a projected time you'll have that done?
I projected the
you're gonna meet
project,
with it.
Joe, the project would be done in February of '24.
I'm talking about getting your cabinets done.
Oh,
I'm
that
not worried about
part.
the overall, because we already know we're extended there.
We went to the Wayback Machine, we thought it was supposed to be February, end of February. And it was like, oh, okay, well, we're cooking.
Figure out what year.
We, I'm
25.
meeting that individual tomorrow to select the countertop and the sink, and that's all that's
Getting materials.
lacking. Yeah, so I don't think it'd be a half a day's work left over there.
Once he gets the rest of the materials.
Yeah.
So, okay.
All right, we'll go to routine business. I have, warrants. Did everybody have a chance for any questions on the warrants we paid? David, anything, Darrell? Okay. All right, so we will, scratch that off of there.
Other than my realization of how much hot water we use.
Well, actually, we had a request to turn the hot water heater down a little bit, so maybe next month it won't be quite that. Seriously.
That's,
Just didn't get to know him.
yeah, you just haven't got the set next to him in the commission. Or ride with him to the state fair.
You didn't sign nothing.
That is a true statement.
That's a true statement.
All right, payroll. Now, do we have any monthly settlements or abstracted fees? Linda, what else? Do you have? No, okay. All right. I know I'm overlooking something, but I will entertain public comments regarding items not listed on the agenda.
Any updates on appointees to the advisory board for the dispatch?
The advisory board is, full. So the county's made their 2 appointments, and it's my understanding the city's made their 2 appointments.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And who are the names for the commission's appointees?
The county appointed, Richard Newell and David Reid. And they both accepted. And, Sheriff Millsap is currently working on, forming the board and electing its first, chairperson. And, Sheriff Millsap will be guiding that project.
Gotcha.
How do you spell his last name? Reid, R-E-E-D,
R-E-I-D.
R-E-I-D?
Do you know who the city's selected on theirs?
What I've read, and this I don't wanna be misquoted because I'm just what I've heard.
Yeah.
Don Anderson and John Gideon is what I've heard. And then, of course, the other 5 members are the disciplines that are represented: sheriff, police, rural fire, city fire, and mercy. Okay, any other questions, comments not listed on the agenda? Okay. All right, anything, gentlemen, for next Tuesday? I'll have the department heads here and bring Sarah Angst had wanted to give the commission an update on what's happening downtown, so she'll be here next Tuesday as well. When do we have the SB 40? Is that next Tuesday, or would that be the week after?
They're due in by September,
Okay, so SB
end of
40,
September.
we've had 4 individuals. I think there were 3, excuse me, there are 3 slots open. I believe there was, I think 3. There was a expired
Is there
or,
I think there's an empty, I don't remember now.
okay. But anyway, we've had
I think there might be an
4
empty one.
people express an interest in that, in either 2 or 3 positions. And if that,
We can do it first.
we do it first, okay? I'll give you copies, I'll, make copies of those and throw them in your basket. So that'll be on here as well. Anything else?
It's tomorrow, 8:30?
9 o'clock. Did it say 8:30? If it did, we will convene at 8:30, and we can go over there and start.
Meeting at 8:30
Okay.
on Wednesday.
That, it was 9 is when Paragon and, DeWitt would be here, and I think that was probably just an oversight on our part, since we normally meet at 8:30, but it's at 9 o'clock when they get
They'll
here.
be here.
Yeah, yeah.
So Centerville has 3 open positions, and I think they've got 1 that's resigned, so we may be looking at all 4.
Okay. Okay. Okay, here's an email just came in, a change order, and this may, answer my question that I asked about. Okay, so one of the credits that they're giving, which I guess maybe was in there and I didn't see it, was that $3,000 credit on the spandrel glass in lieu of the
That's what I was thinking.
Pollock, but there's still something else that's haunting me on that. Apparently this is just their executed copy of that, so. So nothing new. All right, gentlemen, last call. Nothing, okay. All right, well, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Sorry, that's not gonna print it.
Print it, yeah. Okay, I have a motion to adjourn, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We stand adjourned, I'm gonna forward this to you.